Okay, so I'm just going to show you what we call our harvest debrief. Just a real simple tool. So we're often training churches and teams. We might take a day or half a day to do that. And and you might have taken them through 411, maybe taught them about the person of peace. And then really they get to a point where they've heard enough teaching and training. And one of the best things you can do is just form them into teams of 2 and take them into the harvest, maybe for an hour. Just go and knock on some doors and say hello to people, maybe wander through town or a certain neighbourhood. Say hi to people, tell them you're caring for your community, offer to pray for people, offer to share the gospel with people, and just see what could happen. And so we always take teams out part way through a day in order to put into practice the things we're teaching them. And it's a game changer, it really is. You don't really want to run a training without doing this. And then when we return from that 1 hour in the harvest, we're always just going to debrief that. And we're going to debrief certain things. It records some data for us, it shows you what could happen in 1 hour. But it's a great story as well, this sort of visual capture of what happened. Okay. So we've got a number of things here. We're going to put the name of the town or the city that we're in, UK, across the top there. And then we're going to look to record the number of teams that we sent out. So a team is just 2 people. Okay, so let's say on this day we sent out 1 team. Okay, and this is the number of people they engaged. And we're going to use like a tally. So let's just say that this team we sent out, they engaged 10 people. They got to say hello and they got to offer to pray for 10 people. And then of those 10, they got to pray for 7. Okay, the other 3 didn't want to be prayed for and weren't interested in hearing anything. Okay, but then we always move on from the early offer of prayer to the offer to share the gospel. We'll often say, thanks for letting us pray. We were just wondering, could we share with you how we came near to God? You know, we're finding as people become more confident, they'll just say, has anyone ever shared the gospel with you? And people will often say, no, what's that? And we'll say, oh, just let us show you. So this team that went out engaged 10 people. They got to pray for 7 of them, and then they got to share the gospel with 5. Okay, 5 people. And then everything from here on is a response to the sharing of this 3 circles gospel. So remember, you've got the traffic light diagnostic. This records those 4 responses we looked at in an earlier training, 4 responses to the gospel. So we've got a red light, they're not interested to hear anymore, okay? There's a yellow light, and they may be interested to know more. And there's a green light. There are people everywhere who are ready to turn and believe on Jesus right now. And then as you're out searching for people of peace, you're going to find some believers. And it's great to share with them as well. So this team that were out, they shared the gospel with 5 people. And of those 5, one of those was a red light. They got to the end of the gospel and the person didn't want to know more. 2 of the people were interested to know more. They had some questions and they were quite interested. They'd not heard the gospel explained this way before. And so they were happy to hear some more. One of the people they found was ready to turn and believe right there and then. They led them to the Lord. And then they met a Christian. Okay. And there's obviously no follow-up with the person who rejects. These 2 people, they also arranged to follow up. And we would often go back and we'd maybe just say, we'd love to meet you again. Perhaps we could come back and share a story of Jesus with you. Or talk some more. Would you be up for that? So they got a follow-up with these 2 people. They led this person to the Lord and they got a follow-up with them, and they're going to go back and teach them about baptism straight away in the next couple of days. And then they met this Christian who they showed the 3 circles to. And then they offered to come back and train this Christian, teaching all of their family how to share the gospel effectively in their neighbourhood. In fact, they even offered to go and train their church. So they got to follow up with this believer. And then you've got some totals just down the side. So there was one team. They engaged 10 people. They got to pray for 7. They shared the gospel with 5. And of those 5, there was 1 red light. There were 2 yellow lights. There was 1 person who turned and believed, and 1 Christian. They got to train. Okay, so hopefully that just gives you some simple things just to record the data. And then we'll often just take a photo of that, post it on our Twitter, our Facebook, just with a few comments as to perhaps something significant God did that day. It's always a wonderful thing. Okay, and that's how we debrief our time in the harvest. Thanks, everyone.